everybody, it's Mrs. Foskett, and I'm here to make a video showing you guys how to use our new equipment, the Vernier LabQuest. And so I'm going to take you through some of the basic operations of how you turn it on and what kind of measurements we can do using our spectrophotometers. Okay, to start with, this is what a LabQuest looks like. It's like a little kind of tablet device. On one end here, it has a USB, which is already connected, and then there you can see that there's 3 more spots where you can connect other kind of sensors to this thing. So we're going to turn it on, and to turn it on, it has a button up here on the top. We're just going to push that, and it turns on automatically for us. And over here next to the LabQuest, I have this thing called the SpectroViz Plus. SpectroViz Plus is a form of a spectrophotometer. I'm going to show you or leave for you another link on how a spectrophotometer works. The video is really short, but it will give you an idea of what's going on inside this box. So when you turn on the LabQuest, it's actually a really smart device. It already knows that I have the spectrophotometer plugged into it. So it says all the way on it here that it says USB absorbance. That means that I have plugged into the USB port a device that is going to be reading absorbance, because that's how a spectrophotometer works. So when you first start using the LabQuest, the first thing you're always going to need to do is to open a new file. So the LabQuest comes with a little stylus. It hides in a little hole down here by the power. So what you're going to do is you're going to go under File and hit New. All right, that means our LabQuest is now ready to store a new file for us. So the instructions that I'm giving you today are for the Beers Law lab that are going to allow us to figure out the concentration of an unknown solution. So the solution that we are going to be using is nickel 2 sulfate. It's that green solution right there. So when you first are going to use a spectrophotometer, you have to do something called zeroing the device. I need to tell the device what their reading is when there is nothing in it. So what I have here is something called a cuvette. If you notice, on one side the cuvette has like ridges, and on the other side the cuvette is really it's completely clear, so you can see through it completely. So when you are going to put the cuvette into the spectrophotometer, it's really important that you take one of these things called a Kimwipe and wipe off the part of the cuvette that will be going into the spectrophotometer, because we want to make sure that there's no fingerprints, dirt, or anything else on there. So putting this into the spectrophotometer is super easy. All you do is stick it in there. Okay, so now we need to tell the LabQuest portion over here that we want to zero our spectrophotometer. So in order to do that, in order to zero our spectrophotometer, I'm going to go under the sensor menu, and you can see that this pops up, and we want to calibrate our spectrophotometer. So I'm going to go down here and I'm going to click calibrate. And it says, what do you want to calibrate? Well, yeah, I want to calibrate my spectrophotometer. And so the next screen says, yeah, you really want to calibrate that? I say, yeah. All right, so the next screen that comes up says that you need to wait for 90 seconds for the lamp in the SpectroViz spectrophotometer to warm up. So we're going to pause for a few seconds while we let the light finishing warming up. Okay, so after the 90 seconds has passed, it will say, okay, we're warmed up, we're ready to go. Make sure your blank cuvette is over in the device, which that we already did. We put the water in there. And then we're going to touch finish calibration. And then it says finish calibration. And so now it is working on finishing the calibration, and now you'll notice it says calibration complete, and we can say Okay, we are all set. So now that our spectrophotometer is ready to use, what we want to do is actually measure the absorption of light of the sample that we are interested in. So I'm going to go to my spectrophotometer and I'm going to take out my blank and I'm going to put in a sample of my nickel 2 sulfate. So you see nickel 2 sulfate is a lovely green color. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to put it down into the spectrophotometer. And then we're going to tell the spectrophotometer this time, or we're going to tell the LabQuest that we don't need to calibrate, but we want to read what the absorption is for the light that's traveling from, through this cuvette. So in order to do that, what we're going to need to do is to, we want to see what wavelength is the maximum absorption of light for this green solution. So you are going to hit this green arrow down at the bottom. That's called the start recording data. So we're going to start recording the data, and you'll see that the spectrum comes up, and you can see that a graph has been made on our screen. So what the graph represents is absorption of light at each one of those color wavelengths. So we can press stop now. And what we want to figure out is what is the maximum absorption for our green solution. So to do that, we can follow the line sort of along here, and really the maximum absorption, well, we have 2 points. We have 1 point over here in the purple, but we have a really nice point over here in the red. So for this lab, we are going to use the red. So once you have sort of used the stylus to select the spot that has the maximum absorption, next we're going to say, okay, we are ready to put in our samples that have different concentrations of the nickel sulfate, and we'll be able to determine their concentrations. So this was just a short little video to give you a little bit of idea about what the LabQuest looks like and what we can do with it. Soon we'll be using the LabQuest for a lot more labs, and I hope that you will find it really useful.